Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank. Good day and welcome this Monday to Africa Investor Today. In our roundup of business news, we take a look at politics and economy. Nigeria has signed a €677 million pact with the European Union late last week, aimed at combating corruption and promoting peace in its troubled oil-producing Niger Delta. The agreement will help the oil exporter tackle challenges in the areas of governance, trade and peace for the 2009 to 2013 period. The statement from the European Commission said €166 million would be spent on peace and security. A major part of the money will support reforms at all three tiers of the Nigerian government, fighting corruption and boosting electoral reform. The Commission said about €199 million would be devoted to addressing underlying causes of violence and poverty in the region. And Zimbabwean Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai has left his country for Morocco and Libya, the current African Union chair, where he said he would brief Muammar Gaddafi on the unity government. He is to speak to the AU chairman about the developments in the country and what progress is being made. He said the Libyan leader invited him and that he would also visit Morocco to discuss areas of cooperation. Meanwhile, he said his negotiators were meeting with President Robert Mugabe's party in a bid to smooth over bitter disputes within the power-sharing agreement. We're going to take a short break. This is Africa Investor Today. Stay with us.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
Companies and markets news. Ilovo Sugar capitalized on a soaring world sugar price to post a 13% year-on-year rise in revenue to R4.25 billion for the 6 months to September. Operating profit was up 35% to R1.24 billion, helped by a major expansion of Ilovo's Zambian operation, as well as increased production and strong sales in Tanzania. Headline earnings per share saw a rise of 28% to 185.2 cents, while the board declared a dividend of 32 cents per share, down 23% on the previous year. The company predicted full-year headline earnings similar to those of the previous year, due in part to the effect of the strong rand. In more companies and markets news, Owando PLC has ratified the codes of the Convention on Business Integrity, or CBI, to enhance transparency and integrity of its operations. According to reports, the indigenous integrated energy provider is the 22nd company and the first indigenous oil and gas firm to join the CBI since its inception in 1999. The CBI is an NGO set up with a vision to move society towards a visible zero tolerance for corruption by empowering business entities in Nigeria to abhor fraudulent practices through the commitment of a coalition of like-minded corporates and individuals. The chairman of Owando PLC, Major General Magoro, stressed that it was pertinent for Owando to partner with CBI, being at the forefront of the campaign against corruption and other unethical practices in the Nigerian corporate climate. Banking and finance news is up next, but first we're going to take a short break. Stay with us.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
And in some banking and finance news, The South African Reserve Bank Governor Jill Marcus has nailed her colours firmly to the mast of non-intervention in the currency market and refraining from support to keep the rand at a particular level. However, she diplomatically said on Friday that the issue of what could be done to weaken the currency and to change the mandate of the central bank was still open to debate. Markets should determine the exchange rate, Marcus insisted during her first meeting with Parliament's finance committees. The governor assumed office 10 days ago in an atmosphere fraught with contest over monetary policy and the role of the bank, and amid concern over the effect of the strong rand. The currency has strengthened about 25% against the dollar this year, and several cabinet ministers have expressed their concern, including Trade and Industry Minister Rob Davies, who called for urgent action to staunch the damage. Economic Development Minister Ibrahim Patel announced earlier this month he would hold discussions with business and labour on the rand and possible measures to weaken it. In news from Nigeria now, a survey conducted by a market research company, Research and Marketing Services, says the majority of Nigerians approve of the Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention in the banking sector. According to it, the respondents believe that the intervention will bring sanity to the troubled industry. The Chief Executive Officer of the RMS Group, Adeola Tejumola, explained that findings from the survey revealed 69% of the respondents believed the crisis was avoidable, while 31% disagreed. About 84% of the respondents interviewed from the private sector approved of the CBN's intervention, while 16% expressed disapproval. Prevention of systemic collapse, retention of affected banks, customer confidence, and prevention of a damaging run on the Nigerian economy were cited as reasons for their approval. Commenting on the impact of the banking crisis on their financial well-being, 67% said it affected their business and companies they work for negatively, mainly due to lack of credit facilities from banks, thus causing cash flow problems, while 33% said the banking crisis has no adverse effect on them. And as we move on to our infrastructure news, stay with us. We're going to take a short break.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
In infrastructure news now, we start with news out of Kenya, where capital markets players are calling for the establishment of an independent team to oversee the spending of money raised by the government through infrastructure bonds. The success of the first infrastructure bond, where the government received 26.9 billion shillings against plans to raise 18.5 billion, confirms its ability to tap into the local market to finance part of its capital-intensive projects. However, there is fear among market players over lack of a central overseeing authority to ensure proper utilization of the money. The Sterling Investment Bank proposes the establishment of an independent projects monitoring authority to ensure efficient use of the funds and successful completion of earmarked projects. And Mozambique has signed 2 accords with Brazil for a $6 billion investment in biofuel exploration, the Daily Independent reported, citing Antonio de Godoy, chairperson of the Brazilian Confederation of Biofuel Companies, Aranho Produtivo Local do Álcool. Some of the biofuels produced from sugarcane will be exported to Brazil to cut its dependence on petroleum-based fuels. About $256 million has been invested in the Mozambique biofuel sector, covering 83,000 hectares, according to Roberto Albino, the Director of Agriculture Promotion in Mozambique. And that's it for today. Get more African business news by logging on to www.africa-investor.com. Have a great week further. Cheers. Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.